Hi, welcome back. This is Ms. Ellison. I am going to be continuing my reader's notebook for the book Inside Out by Terry Truman. Last time we read, Alan dropped his gun and Zach picked it up. And I made a prediction thinking that maybe someone might get seriously hurt since he's off his meds and, now he has a weapon. Let's see. All right. So for today's reading, I'm going to try to use notice and note. I'm going to attempt to notice signposts while I'm reading, and I'm going to jot them down. When I say signposts, I'm talking about these things that we have talked about before, such as contrast and contradictions, or again and again, memory moments. These are moments in a text that give us insight into characters, they give us insight into conflict, and they really help us hone in on the theme or message that we should be getting from the text. So as I'm reading today, I'm just going to try and think about those and see if I can't identify any in the chapters where we read today. Okay, so let's begin our reading. We are on chapter 14. And this again begins with a letter from Miss Emily Wasted to Dr. Cal Curtis. Zach says he took the rifle and went out and sat on a deck chair. As he sat there, he says he wondered what I might think when I came home and found his body. I guess some tiny part of him realized that I might be upset. The blood on Alan's face looks kinda like chocolate sauce, the kind you put on ice cream. I wish I had a chocolate sundae right now. The phone rings. A loud voice booms from outside. Are you all right in there? Is everyone all right? That was a mistake. Pick up the phone. The phone keeps ringing. Joey just stands frozen, staring at Alan, so I grab the phone. A voice asks, Is everybody okay? He sounds scared. I say, Alan's holding his head. He's bloody. Oh God, the voice says back. Alan stands up, brushing off the side of his face. Little pieces of wood fall away. The bullet shattered the wall right next to where Alan's head was. Splinters are sticking into his face, making bloody spots. I say into the phone, Alan's face is bleeding. Is he conscious? Is he alive? Alan walks over to me and grabs the phone out of my hand. What the hell was that? He yells into the phone. He listens for a second, then yells again, A mistake, my ass! You tried to blow my head off! Alan listens again, then says, No, still sounding mad. I'm okay, but Alan listens some more. He says quieter, No, it's just a scratch, not that you care. Alan slams the phone down. He turns to Joey and me and says, Accidental shot. Joey yells, Accidental? Bull! It only missed your head by about an inch. As Joey says this, he walks back and forth across the room like I've seen people do in a hospital, pacing like crazy. It's like Joey's ready to kill somebody, kill himself. It's like Joey's ready to kill somebody himself. Alan says to Joey, Calm down. The guy wasn't supposed to shoot. He didn't have orders. Joey says, I don't believe it. I think they want to kill us to protect Zach. Alan says, Maybe. I don't know what to think anymore. Suddenly, Alan looks at me and notices for the first time that I'm holding his gun. Joey notices too and snaps his gun up, pointing it right at me. Without even thinking about it, I point Alan's gun at Joey. We stand real still. I look down the barrel of Joey's little gun. Hong Kong barrel, crackle barrel, barrel of monkeys, Hong Kong. Shoot, shoot, even better, let him shoot you. This isn't good. Even I can tell this isn't good. Chapter 15. Letter from Miss Emily Wasted to Dr. Cal Curtis. Zach says he came back into the house, got a piece of paper and a pencil and wrote a note, leaving it for me on the kitchen counter. Then he went back out to the deck and sat down and picked up the rifle. Can you imagine? Alan snaps at Joey. What the hell are you doing? Lower your gun. Joey looks at Alan so angrily that not even I can miss it. Joey spins around and punches the wall, but he points his gun at the floor. I point my gun at the floor too. Alan looks at me. Hey, Zach, I better have my gun back, okay? I look at the gun in my hand and don't say anything for a second. I look up again at Alan, and he is smiling. He says, You want to shoot it? Joey paces back and forth again. I answer Alan about shooting the gun. I better not. Alan says, It's okay. Go ahead and pull the trigger if you want to. I point the gun at Alan, and I ask, Really? How come? Do you want to die? Maybe I'm not the only one who feels that way. Alan says, Sure, just pull the trigger. Joey says, Wait a sec. Alan interrupts him. It's okay, Joey. Fine, whatever, Joey yells. I say, I don't really want to shoot you, Frosty. I mean, Alan. Alan says, Shoot the floor then. I say, Okay. I point the gun at the floor. I slowly squeeze the trigger. I hear a click and nothing more. Just a little click. I pull the trigger a second time. Click. A third time. Click. Then a bunch of times. Click, 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 click. Alan reaches over and takes the gun. He looks at it, then says to me, It doesn't work. Hasn't for a long time. It's a World War II officer's sidearm. A 45 caliber. Our grandfather was a fighter pilot. All of them carried these. But Grandpa removed the firing pin from this one 50 years ago. Some holdup, huh? Chapter 16. Letter from Miss Emily Wosted to Dr. Cal Curtis. Zach, my son, felt horrible enough to pull the barrel of a rifle into his mouth. I'm confused, so I ask, What about Joey's gun? It works. I look at Joey's gun. He shot the desk. When I say this, Joey says, Yeah, I did. And don't forget it. Don't you get any smart ideas. Oh, I forgot. You never get those. Shut up, Joey, Alan says, then looks at me again. I emptied the bullet clip from Joey's gun, but I forgot to check the chamber and make sure that was empty too. Joey interrupts him. Alan, what are you doing? It's okay, Joey, Alan says. He turns to me. When Joey's gun went off, I almost had a heart attack. I ask, How are you going to shoot us if you don't have guns that work? Alan looks at me like for a second, like he feels sorry for me. But he says, That's the whole point, Zach. We were never going to shoot anybody. We just wanted to scare everybody until we could get the money, then leave. I glance around the room where the three of us are sitting. I look at Joey's silver gun and Alan's black one, both useless. I hear the hum from behind the closet door. The walls are clean, painted white. I can smell coffee. I look at the doorway which leads out into the front of the coffee shop. All of a sudden, I realize I could jump up and go running out of here and tell the cops that these two juvenile delinquents, Alan and Joey, can't do diddly squat because their guns don't even work. I guess turning in Alan and Joey would be the appropriate thing to do. After all, they are doing a crime. Okay. I actually am going to pause for a second because I think he is considering something that I think is going to fit into one of our signposts. I think he is thinking through a tough question. Basically, Zach is asking himself, should I tell the police that the guns aren't loaded? And he's going to try and figure that out, I think. So I'm going to start a little bit back. and read this again while I'm thinking about it. All of a sudden, I realized I could jump up and go running out of here and tell the cops that these two juvenile delinquents, Alan and Joey, can't do diddly squat because their guns don't even work. I guess turning in Alan and Joey would be the appropriate thing to do. After all, they are doing a crime. A good citizen would probably turn them in. And if I did, everyone would probably think I'm a hero. It's probably inappropriate of me not to do it. But here's the deal. These two kids aren't so different from me. I mean, I'm sick and messed up, and they're messed up now too. They're probably going to jail, which can't be that different from going to the hospital. All three of us are kind of the same. Plus, neither Alan nor Joey has called me wastoid. Let's see. All right. So I think that he's given the two different sides to this question. Um, First of all, let's see. Okay, now since I really want to think through these signposts, I'm going to write down the two different sides here. So first of all, he says, for the pro side, as in I should go and tell the cops, he thinks that I guess turning Alan and Joey in would be the appropriate thing to do. He says that it's what a good citizen would do. And also, everyone would probably think he's a hero. And honestly, that last one probably means a lot to him because he gets bullied a lot from what we've heard so far in the story. People aren't normally very nice to him. So I feel like that would probably have a big pull on someone like Zach. For the con side, which is not telling the cops, he said that these two kids aren't so different from him. He says he is sick and messed up, but now they're messed up too. I mean, they're going to be going to jail. Also, he said that neither of them had called him a wastoid, which I think is a pretty big deal to him. So we've got some issues on both sides that probably would really matter to a kid like Zach. Okay, I'm going to keep reading from my text and keep thinking about what we're doing here. Okay. I don't know for sure what to think. I mean, after all, I'm not the best guy to figure out what's the right thing to do. Heck, I know I'm weird, maybe even crazy. I think about maple bars when I should be worried about getting shot in the head. I think about candy bars when I should be worried about my mom being dead. I think about the color of the walls and the sound of the freezer when I'm surrounded by cops who could shoot me by accident. I know I'm nuts, but I know another thing too, and I know it for sure. Whether a guy is crazy or not, if he gives his word, if he says he's going to do something, he should stick to it. Otherwise, he really is a wastoid. A lot of times, my brain makes it hard for me to control what I say or think or do, but I promised Alan and Joey that I'd stay here until Dr. Kurt comes to help. I'm not a wastoid. I'm not. I'm going to try my hardest to do what's right. Then I'm going to get my medicine and go home with my mom. All right. So that section, it seems like he is saying another reason that would be against telling the cops. Let's see. All right. So his reason here against telling the cops, he says, uh, and he knows this for sure, which remember, Zach is a kid who has a hard time deciding what's real and what's not real, but this is something he knows for sure. Whether a guy is crazy or not, if he gives his word, if he says he's going to do something, he should stick to it. Otherwise, he really is a wastoid. So, with that conviction, it looks like he's saying that he is definitely not a wastoid and he is not going to tell the cops. It looks like his decision is that I promised Alan and Joey that I'd stay here until Dr. Kurt comes and helps. And then he says that he is going to try his hardest to do what's right. Okay. So I don't know what that is going to say about the theme yet. We haven't finished the book, and we don't know what effect his decision is going to have on the rest of the story. But I have both sides of the issue. I have his decision, and I can continue reading, thinking about how that decision will affect what happens in the story. Chapter 17. Letter from Miss Emily Wasted to Dr. Cal Curtis. This was the moment I got home, walking into the house and through the kitchen. I saw Zack on the deck, the barrel of the rifle in his mouth. He looked so relaxed, almost happy. I called out to him, and he actually smiled at me. Alan and Joey talk softly together. I can't really hear what they're saying, but after a little while, Joey starts to cry. I don't know what exactly is making him cry right now. I know people usually feel sorry for somebody who's crying, but I don't feel sorry for him. I don't mean that to sound bad. I don't want people to hate me, but I don't feel sorry for much of anything. I don't feel much of anything for people at all. Just the way my brain doesn't work, I guess. So now I sit here and watch the tears rolling down Joey's face and the snot dripping out of his nose. I may not feel anything, but I know what I should do. I should help them like I promised. So just sit still and keep the news about their guns not working to myself. When Dr. Curtis comes, everything will be okay. Alan puts his arm around his brother and says, I'm sorry I got you into this, Joey. Now Alan starts to cry too. I watch them both. But now the weirdest thing happens. Suddenly, I notice a tear running out of the corner of my eye and down my cheek. I put my finger up and touch the tear. I put the tear into my mouth and taste it. It's salty. Wow, maybe I do feel sad for them. Maybe I'm crying because I feel sad. Maybe I'm not so crazy after all. Maybe I'm getting better. Alan turns to me and says, Are you okay, Zach? Huh? I ask. I'm still thinking about the tear. Yeah, sure, I guess. Suddenly, I remember that Alan and I were talking about earlier, before Alan's face almost got shot. I remember Alan's question about when I first knew I was sick. I never answered him. I say, I'm okay, Alan, and I remember when I first knew I was sick too. For a second, Alan looks like he doesn't know what I'm talking about, but now I can see by his expression that he remembers. He asks, Oh yeah? So when did you know? After, I say. After? Alan asks. After what? I pause a moment. After I tried to kill myself? After that, I knew I was sick. I'm really hungry, Alan. Can we go get a maple bar from out front? Chapter 18. Letter from Miss Emily Wasted to Dr. Cal Curtis. Zach just said, I'm gonna shoot myself, Mom. But before he could get his mouth back down onto the gun, I took the rifle away. But Mom, Zach said again, I'm gonna shoot myself. Not today, honey, I said. And then I burst into tears. Alan and Joey both stare at me. People get real quiet when they hear about suicide. Maybe Alan and Joey are freaked out. Alan asks, You really tried to kill yourself? Yeah, I answer. Joey says, You tried to kill yourself? What did you do, screw that up too? Alan gives Joey a shove. Shut up, don't be a jerk. I say, I did try, Joey, really. I was going to shoot myself, but my mom got home and wouldn't let me. Joey laughs and says, What did you do, ask her permission? I say, No, she just got home. Alan shakes his head. I know lots of times people don't say what they're thinking, but Alan's face looks so sad, even I can tell that he feels bad for me. Like my mom died when she saw me, like my mom did when she saw me with the gun that day. Christ, Zach, Alan says. his voice kind of shaky. Why'd you want to do that? He stops. I mean, how bad can it be? I don't know what to say. Joey is quiet too. I finally say, mostly just because I think I should say something. It's okay, Alan, don't worry. Alan says, I'm sorry, Zach. I guess you got it pretty bad, man. Are you ever going to get better? I remember what Dr. Kurt has told me about my brain and my illness. I answer Alan truthfully. No, probably not, but it's okay, Alan. I wish I could explain to Alan and Joey about going to the hospital that afternoon after I tried to kill myself. I can't find the right words, but I still remember it. It seemed like a long ride back to Clearwater. Mom drove us down Highway 195 southbound, driving fast. I kept thinking that if I just opened the door of the car and dove out onto my head, I'd die for sure. Then everything would be just over. No more dirtbag and rat, no more confusion, no more anything. I watched the pavement race by, staring at the white lane bump markers as they flickered past. After a while, I realized that I hadn't heard the new voices since I started to pull the trigger. It was like Dirtbag and Rat knew that if I died, they wouldn't get to torture me anymore. I smiled at that thought, and right then, Mom happened to look over at me. You okay, Zach? I don't know. Are the voices bothering you? No, I'm just thinking about the white dots and dying, Mom said. I know, honey. Dr. Curtis is going to talk to us all about this, okay? He's going to help us. Okay, I said. I didn't even feel sad or upset that I hadn't been able to kill myself, right? It didn't even matter to me. Neither of us said anything else all the rest of the way to Clearwater. I won't tell Alan and Joey any more about it, though. Alan seems bummed enough as it is. He looks like he's about ready to kill himself just thinking about how bad it would be for me. Okay, so at that section, I am actually noticing another signpost. I'm noticing there that we had a memory moment. So during this memory moment, Zach has remembered what happened to him after he tried to kill himself. His mother took him to the hospital, and he realized that the voices, he he hadn't heard them again since he started to pull the trigger, which made him feel really happy, knowing that if he died, they would die too and couldn't torture him anymore. So I'm making note of that. I'm going to keep it in here and I'm going to keep it in my mind as I read to try and figure out how this affects the story, how this could affect what happens next. Let's see. Alan says, I'm sorry, Zach. Sorry you're so screwed up. You're a nice guy. It's too bad. He says this without looking at me, staring at the ground. Joey stares at the ground too. I think he'd almost like to say something, but he can't. I know it's hard for Joey to say anything nice to me. He reminds me of the kids from school who are scared to treat me different than their friends treat me, so they're mean. I never know what to say to these kids. I don't know what to say to Joey either. I finally say to Alan, I'm not messed up like that anymore, Alan. I pause and think about it. At least I don't want to kill myself today. I don't want to die right now. Alan says, That's good, Zach. You're doing better now, huh? Joey interrupts. Everybody dies someday. Most people, whether they want to or not, you know? At least Zach still has a choice. Not like Mom. It's stupid for him to kill himself when he doesn't have to die. Alan just looks at Joey. Maybe, Alan says, but maybe Zach doesn't have any more choice than Mom does about being sick. Listening to Alan, I remember more about being back in the hospital the second time. I remember Dr. Curtis talked to me about the new voices, helping me to understand about Dirtbag and Rat, the meanest jerks ever, anywhere. These new mean voices might come after you again, especially if you don't take your medicine. But if you're brave enough, Zach, you can fight them. You probably can't destroy them, but you can refuse to let them destroy you. Dr. Curtis is a nice guy, but he doesn't know anything. He doesn't know how Dirtbag and Rat can be. And I know there's only one thing that's going to get rid of them for good. Only one thing that long gone, long gone, long gone. All right, guys, he's remembering one more moment. That is another memory moment. So let me get that down. Zach is remembering when Dr. Kurt told him that he could fight against these voices and not allow them to control him. Zach doesn't really seem to believe that, but that's what Dr. Curtis said. Okay? All right, let's finish up. The phone rings and it's the cops. Alan talks to them. Actually, he listens. All he says is, good. Then he hangs up. He turns to Joey and me and says, Dr. Kurt is on the way. Clearwater Hospital is about 18 miles south of Spokane, so it's taking Dr. Kurt a while to get here. I'm worried. I look at my watch. It's 5:03. I'm an hour and a half late for my medicine. I'm scared of Dirtbag and Rat. I need to think about something else. Anything else. I have an idea, I say to Alan and Joey. Do you guys think if we snuck out the back door real quietly, we could just get out of here? I could get my medicine and you wouldn't have to worry about jail and Alan interrupts. What? I ask again. Could we just sneak out the back door and Alan interrupts again. What back door? I point to the closet and say, the one in there. Alan quickly goes over and opens the door to the little back room. He peeks inside. Jesus, Joey, Alan whispers excitedly. There's a back way out of here. Joey says, you kidding me? Alan answers, no, for real. Look at this. Joey hurries over and looks into the back room too. Alan says, maybe the cops don't know about this. Maybe we can make a run for it. I blurt out, a run for your money, although I'm not even sure what that means or why I say it. My head is starting to hurt real bad. It's a feeling I know too well. But Alan smiles at me and says, a run for our money. Yeah. All right. So that is the end of our reading today. I'm going to go back and think about my prediction from, yes, last read. After reading chapter 13, I believed that someone might get seriously hurt because Zach had that gun. But it turns out that the guns weren't even loaded. And even the kid who was kind of shot, it was basically he just got scratched in the face. So my prediction was wrong. Finally, I actually have two new predictions that I want to make for the next read. First of all, based on the memory moment that we just heard about Dirtbag and Rat and how Zach can control them, I really think that Dirtbag and Rat are going to show up. I think that again. So that's a prediction I've made before that I'm going to make again. But I think that Zach will not be able to control them because he doesn't believe Dr. Kurt. He thinks that they're too hard, they wouldn't be able to be controlled. So they're going to come back. He won't be able to control them. And my second prediction is I also think that they are going to get caught when they leave through the back because the police would know all about the exits in a real hostage situation. Like I'm just using my own background knowledge there to kind of fill in some ideas of what could happen. Um, but that's it. We'll see next read, I suppose. So that is it for today for Ms. Ellison's Reader's Notebook. Please let me know if you have any questions. Bye.